if anybody deserves credit for the turnaround of the UCO defense, it would have to start obviously with defensive line coach Rashad Sanders. Did an amazing job in his first season because if you recall 2019, the defensive line was just not very good. Only had 13 and a half sacks, I believe, and didn't get the first one until game 5. And then the man that had half those, Draquan Brown, had graduated. So entering the season, the defensive line come off the heels of 2 very extremely good recruiting classes. You were hoping for improvement, but I did not expect what we got here. What we got was a dominating defensive line, probably the most dominant defensive line since the 2017 team, because of guys such as Mr. 18.5 TFL, Michael Slater. Absolute beast. I'm just saying this right. Michael Slater is that dude. If you watch any game, because we had the highlights here going. Michael Slater was an absolute force. I mean, you're talking about a guy at a defensive tackle spot, 18.5 TFLs, 40 tackles, 3.5 sacks. 2 breakups, 1 hurry, and a forced fumble. I mean, you could not ask much more from a man. By far the most dominant defensive lineman that I have personally seen in a Bronco uniform in my time covering that dates back to 2017. Just absolute force. And aside from him, there were several other guys. Most importantly to me, however, was his fellow junior college transfer. Now they're not teammates; they weren't the same JUCO teammates. But Robert Fuentes and defensive end, you're talking about a guy here that just brings the energy every single snap. If you go back to that Missouri Western game, they do not secure that interception on that final drive if it was not for 3 straight extremely good pass rushes off the end for Robert Fuentes. Robert Fuentes on the season had 4 sacks, which led the team. Now again, most of his impact came rushing the passer. And again, the biggest knock on Robert probably is he plays with too much emotion at times. There were a few times he was called for personal fouls and late hits. If you can kind of get that under control, Robert Fuentes has potential to really be a force off the edge again next year. Again, 24 tackles, 5 for loss, 4 sacks, 4 quarterback hurries, and a breakup. Then you're looking inside, right? You had 2 big redshirt freshmen. You have 340-pound nose guard Hunter Largent out of Noble, one of the quickest nose guards I have seen. That highlight tape, his initial get off is next level. 29 tackles, 5 TFLs, 2.5 sacks. Again, I was very pleased. When him and Slater were in there, the run game was going nowhere for opponents, especially in the middle of the field. Most of the runs came on the edge, and that was only when the ends had kind of gotten washed down. In the middle of the field, no one was getting past. Zayn Adams out of Haskell was the guy that played some running back at Haskell. We should tell you about his athleticism. 26 tackles, 3.5 for loss, had a half sack and 2 hurries. Again, just another guy. And then Noah West, the Army transfer from Bigsby, also was a force off defensive end. Again, he had 24 tackles, 2 for loss, 1.5 sacks, 2 breakups, 2 hurries, and a forced fumble. Him and Robert Fuentes, I think if they take the next step, which is going to be tough because we're looking at a combined 5.5 sacks from them. If they can take the next step there, that defensive line is going to be scary, because you also have guys like Mike Pope Jr. back. 10 tackles before them were for loss, and he had a sack in there. You also would have, I call him Big V Atuafa, who I'm hoping we see more of. He only had 5 tackles and 2 TFLs in 7 games. His high school film was also immaculate there out of Poto, so I'm hoping he can take the next step. And then we get more from second-year JUCO transfer Jordan LeVue. Also only played in 7 games, had 4 tackles. But that front line though of Slater, Largent, Fuentes, West, and then you got Adams, Pope Jr., Michael Pope, and Tuafa. That is a nice, and Jordan LeVue. That is a very, very nice rotation. There also was some red shirts. There's a dude, Montel Cozart, out of Bishop Kelly last year. Tate was also extremely good. Was a really twitchy guy. Just fired off the ball. And my biggest concern heading into this season would be the depth, because you are losing Derek Shaw, who started 11 games. He played in 11 games, 35 tackles, 2.5 for loss, 1 sack, 1 hurry, 1 breakup. And then you're also losing Joseph Rock, 13 tackles, 2.5 for loss. And then you're also losing Cesar Salt, 10 tackles, 3.5 for loss, 1.5 sacks, 1 hurry. So that would be my main concern, would be establishing quality depth, so the rotation is about what it was last year, where there was not much fall off. But again, if Michael Slater can just repeat that, because if we're asking him to build upon that, to me, that's going to be tough, because the man had 18.5 TFLs as a defensive tackle. I don't think you truly understand how dominant this man was in all 10 games that he played. You put on the tape, all 10 games, there are plays that he makes that you're just like, this dude is just a beast, man. I mean, there were times where he was double teamed, triple teamed, and he still made the play. And that makes life a lot easier for other guys when he attracts that much attention. So again, the future is bright. I'm glad that defensive line coach Rashad Sanders was retained by Coach Adam Dorrell, because I think that was a tremendous move on Coach Dorrell's part. Because again, the job that Coach Sanders did was nothing short of immaculate, and I'm hoping that he can continue to build on the success. Again, the talent level is still there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in his 3rd year, but his 2nd season of on-field coaching. That's going to do it for this week. Join us next week for the finale of our position breakdowns, where we break down the defensive backs, the up and down season that the corners had, and how one safety can build upon a breakout sophomore campaign. Until then, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. Have a nice day. I'll talk to you all later.